Picture this. In Myanmar's capital, you've got soldiers marching in perfect formation in these grand parades. At the same time, out in the countryside, a vicious war is tearing villages apart. It's this split-screen reality, 5 years after a military coup, that we're going to unpack today. How can both of these things possibly be true at once?
All right, so let's jump right into this massive contrast. Because to really get what's happening in Myanmar, you kind of have to hold two totally different images in your head at the same time.
So in one picture, you've got this huge, perfectly choreographed military parade for Armed Forces Day. This is the image of strength and stability the junta was broadcasting in early 2026. But that's just one side of the coin, because at the exact same time, outside that bubble, a whole different story was playing out, a really brutal one, a civil war, devastating communities across the nation.
And you know, this isn't just some abstract idea. It has a real human cost, a staggering one. We're talking over 7,700 civilians confirmed dead, according to UN sources. And the heartbreaking thing is, everyone on the ground knows that the real number is much, much higher than that.
Okay, so you're probably asking, how on earth is the military junta pulling this off? How are they projecting this image of total control when the country is literally at war with itself? Well, it all boils down to a pretty clever and cynical political game.
The term experts use is proxy military dictatorship. But honestly, a better way to think about it is like a costume change. The generals are swapping their military uniforms for suits and ties. It's all about creating this appearance of a civilian government, trying to get some international legitimacy. But make no mistake, they're the ones still pulling all the strings from behind the curtain.
And this didn't just happen overnight, not at all. This was a long game, a step-by-step plan that unfolded over years. It all kicked off with the coup in 2021. Then came these so-called elections in 2025, where, surprise, surprise, the main opposition was banned. And it all led to this, a brand new parliament in 2026 that's completely stacked in their favor. The whole thing was designed to end this way from the start.
And this is where it gets really wild. The game was rigged thanks to a constitution they wrote themselves way back in 2008. It literally guarantees them a huge chunk of seats in parliament, 166 to be exact, before a single vote is even cast. You add that to the seats their proxy party won, and boom, they control over 86%. The election, it was just for show. The result was a foregone conclusion.
All right, enough of the political stagecraft. Let's shift gears and talk about that other reality. Because for millions of people in Myanmar, life isn't about political math. It's about survival. It's about a war that's now being fought from the air. You see, the junta is actually losing its grip on the ground. So what do? They take to the skies. And just look at this jump. It's terrifying. In 2021, there were 9 airstrikes on civilian areas. By 2025, over 1,100. I mean, that's just an unbelievable, horrifying escalation.
And the impact on the ground? It's exactly as devastating as you'd imagine. We're talking about more than 100,000 homes, civilian homes, just burned to the ground, gone, a direct result of this air war.
So what happens when your home is destroyed? You run, and that's created this huge crisis of people displaced inside their own country, 3.6 million people. Think about that. Forced to flee with whatever they can carry, with nowhere else to go. And the ripple effects just keep spreading. The total number of people who now need humanitarian aid just to get by is 16 million. That's almost a third of the entire country. A third of the population is in crisis.
But here's the crazy part. Despite these insane numbers, for much of the world, Myanmar has fallen off the radar. The UN is actually calling it an almost invisible crisis. They're practically screaming that we can't just look away from a disaster of this scale.
But, and this is so important, this is not just a story of victimhood, not by a long shot, because while all of this is happening, something else is rising from the ashes, a really organized, really determined resistance movement that's not just fighting back, it's building a whole new future.
So you've got the junta, who call themselves the State Administration Council, or SAC. But on the other side, the resistance has built its own government, a parallel state. It's led by the National Unity Government, or NUG for short, and they're working to bring all the different resistance groups together under one banner.
And their vision is incredibly ambitious. It's not just about winning the war. It's about completely rebuilding the country from the ground up, tearing up that old military constitution, getting the military out of politics for good, and creating a real federal democracy where the people are in charge.
And this is the key takeaway here. This isn't just some fantasy. It's actually happening, right now.
The junta has lost stable control of more than 60% of the country. And in those areas, these liberated zones, the resistance is already running things, providing schools, healthcare, you name it.
So when you put it all together, you get this picture of a country that's been fractured, broken into pieces. It's not one nation anymore, but a place with multiple competing realities all clashing with each other.
So when you weigh the junta's performance against the resistance's reality, what does Myanmar actually look like today?
Well, it's defined by 4 things, all happening at once. 1, a military government in suits, pretending everything's normal in the capital. 2, a legitimate resistance government that's actually controlling huge parts of the country. 3, a massive humanitarian crisis that's getting worse by the day. And 4, in the border areas where no one's in control, you've got a booming criminal underworld of drugs and online scams that's a problem for everyone.
And all of this really leaves us with one final urgent question, and it comes straight from the UN's own special rapporteur. The people of Myanmar are putting everything on the line for a different future. So the question for the rest of us is, will the world step up and help? Or will it just turn away and abandon them when they need that support the most?